Goswami on the debate at 9, presented by Amity University, powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka, Century Club Prime and Policy Bazaar.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Amit Shah made it absolutely clear today that there's no going back on the CAA despite whatever amount of pressure certain groups may be putting in or to try and polarize the atmosphere, go to the Supreme Court, try and make ethical issues, raise certain aspects of the Constitution. But Amit Shah says there's nothing illegal about CAA and there's no going back. Viewers, it's not just about a political position that Amit Shah or Prime Minister Narendra Modi take. The question is, are we all educated enough about the CAA? Do we know enough? And I'm repeatedly going to keep making this point over the next few days because we must remember that over 55 people were killed because we did not know enough about the CAA, or rather we did not bother to know enough about the CAA. And hence this time we want to make sure here at Republic that ignorance cannot be an excuse, and therefore on the program tonight I'm delighted to share with you that I'm inviting India's foremost jurist, top Supreme Court lawyer, legal eagle, and King's Counsel, Harish Salve. Harish Salve is, as you will doubtless agree, the last word on such constitutional issues. Tonight you will hear him on the program live in a few minutes, elevating the debate beyond technicalities. I spoke to Harish Salve some time back and I pleaded with him to come on the program after I heard him argue. Because Harish Salve's fundamental argument is that there is absolutely no question of discrimination. His second main point is, instead of getting into technicalities and 6A and application of this law and that clause, his fundamental argument is that does the government of the day have the right to determine national policy? Or is every policy decision of the government going to be questioned by the courts or going to be put up for question by the courts? The decision on who to bring in or allow as a citizen of India is a policy decision of the government, which cannot be taken away by the government from anyone. It's as fundamental as saying that does the elected government of India have the right to decide the foreign policy of the country? Tomorrow, if things go on, then Assaduddin Owaisi will say tomorrow that the elected government does not have a right to determine foreign policy. To which I will also put my own logic, ladies and gentlemen. This whole bleeding heart group, whose hearts keep bleeding for anyone and everyone, at will or as a matter of convenience. The bleeding heart group, when you tell them Hindus will be brought in, a few Hindus, a handful of Hindus, a few Parsis, a few Sikhs, and very few Buddhists will be allowed to come into the country. They said, why? Why not Muslims? Why not this? Why not that? And another ridiculous argument I've heard of late, just as a rhetorical point which makes no sense to me, why not Jews? Well, to those who put this argument, why not Jews? I'd say, why not Icelanders by this logic? Why not Mauritians? Why not South Africans? And if you add the angle of, oh, but you are talking about those who are dispossessed and those who are underprivileged or those who are facing a tough time who may not be Hindus, then I'd like to ask them that would they say tomorrow that half the population of Iran, the women of Iran, who are being discriminated because of the extremely sexist laws, the misogynistic treatment and the brutal abuse of the Iranian government of Muslim women who are fighting against the hijab in Iran, should we say today that all Iranian women should be allowed and made citizens of the country? Because it makes no sense. Harish Salve will present a cogent argument, which I want you to respond to, and you can tell me whether or not you agree with him. I think that's going to be a fascinating start to the program, followed by a sharp debate on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting, what I would call an explainer on the CAA. So in case you had any doubts about what the CAA is or misgivings about it in any way, then you must tune into that. I come to you with 3 debates tonight. First, of course, delighted to have Harish Salve with us, what I call the CAA explainer. I have a CAA explainer debate. That's debate number 1 tonight. And featuring on that debate just before it is Harish Salve. On debate number 2 this evening, this whole hype about electoral bonds turned out to be what I expected. A absolute damp squib. And debate number 3 this evening, viewers, almost certainly moving towards simultaneous polls in 2029, which takes the country out of the condemned situation of having elections every few weeks. The impact of that in our lifetimes. Big move. Report submitted, and here are the headlines this Thursday evening on the debate tonight. Amit Shah makes it absolutely clear there is no question of any compromise, rollback, or in any way compromise on the CAA. Shah takes on the fake news lobby, dares the opposition to prove that the CAA is anti-minority. Election Commission makes public disclosure on electoral bonds, puts out the entire data submitted by the SBI. India inches a step closer to simultaneous elections as the Kovind-led panel submits an 18,000-page report to President Draupadi Murmu. Big relief for the Aam Aadmi expected. Modi government set to reduce prices of petrol and diesel across India. And the Trinamool Congress says that Mamata Banerjee has sustained a major injury on her forehead, that she's admitted to hospital. Amit Shah said it first at the Republic Summit about the notification of the CAA, and now he's followed that up with an interview to ANI in which he's had a point-to-point rebuttal to the cynics about CAA. Let's hear that before we invite as our first special guest tonight, Harish Salve, in a few minutes.
CAA ये देश का कानून है, पत्थर पर लकीर है, ये वास्तविकता है, ये लागू होगा ही होगा और इस चुनाव के पहले होगा।
इस चुनाव के पहले होगा। ये बहुत बड़ी बात कही है आज गृह मंत्री जी ने, बहुत बड़ी बात हम सबके सामने।
प्रणव जी, तालियां बज गई, कोई धमाका नहीं है, ये बात मैं 10 बार बता चुका हूँ।
नहीं, मगर आप
चुनाव के पहले CAA लागू होगा, इस देश का कानून है, इसको कोई नहीं रोक सकता।
We are not supporting CAA or NRC. CAA is very much related with NRC. We don't want any detention camp.
बांग्लादेश से, पाकिस्तान से अगर झुग्गी लगा के आपके पता नहीं वो कौन लोग हैं, क्या हैं, सारी कानून व्यवस्था चरमरा जाएगी, चोरियां, डकैतियां, बलात्कार बढ़ेंगे हमारे देश के अंदर। ये क्यों लाए हैं कानून? बता रहे हैं बीजेपी केवल अपना वोट बैंक बनाना चाहती है, 1-1.5 करोड़ लोगों को लाके और अपना बीजेपी अपना वोट बैंक बनाना चाहती है।
CAA का कानून अभी चर्चा पर है। 1, इसमें NRC का कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है। 2, इसमें किसी की नागरिकता छीनने का कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है। 3, अगर विपक्ष को ये चाहिए कि उनसे चर्चा हो तो कोई भी कानून करने से पहले और बाद में संसद में चर्चा होती ही है। आप भी स्वयं एक बार CAA को पढ़ लेती, इसके रूल्स को पढ़ लेती तो मालूम पड़ता इसमें डिटेंशन कोई कैंप की प्रोविजन नहीं है। जब विभाजन हुआ तब पाकिस्तान में 23% हिंदू थे, हिंदू और सिख थे। आज 3.7% बच गए। कहाँ गए सारे? 1951 में हिंदुओं का प्रतिशत 22% था। मैं 51 की बात कर रहा हूँ, बांग्लादेश की 51 के आंकड़े ऊपर हमारे पास है। 2011 की जनगणना में वो 10% रह गए। कहाँ गए वो लोग? वो आर्टिकल अनुच्छेद 14 का हवाला देते हैं, वो भूल जाते हैं कि अनुच्छेद 14 में 2 अपवाद रखे हुए हैं। एक रीजनेबल क्लासिफिकेशन का अपवाद है और दूसरा कानून के उद्देश्यों के साथ लॉजिकल संबंध होना चाहिए। तो वो आर्टिकल 14 का वायोलेशन नहीं करता है। तो नागरिकता के बारे में कानून और कानून का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन वो दोनों हमारे संविधान की 246/1 अनुच्छेद के माध्यम से इसको शेड्यूल 7 में डाला गया है, जो केंद्र की इसकी तमाम शक्तियां केंद्र को दी गई है।
What do the rules notified by the government for the implementation of the new citizenship law say? What does the new law mean for India? Let's debate.
अमित शाह जी, बंगाल में ही नहीं पूरे देश में गृह मंत्री जी CAA कब लागू होगा? क्योंकि अब मॉडल कोड ऑफ कॉन्डक्ट कभी भी लागू हो सकता है और आपका बयान भी आ चुका है कि CAA लागू होकर रहेगा। तो इस पर कोई टाइमलाइन आप कह सकते हैं कि कब होगा?
मैं फिर से कहता हूं, CAA ये देश का कानून है, पत्थर पर लकीर है, ये वास्तविकता है, ये लागू होगा ही होगा और इस चुनाव के पहले होगा।
इस चुनाव के पहले होगा, इस चुनाव के पहले होगा। ये बहुत बड़ी बात कही है आज। मैं तो ये कह सकता हूं कि ये हाहाकार हो गई आपने जो बात अभी कही है। गृह मंत्री जी ने बहुत बड़ी बात हम सबके सामने
प्रणव जी, तालियां बज गई, कोई धमाका नहीं। ये बात मैं 10 बार बता चुका हूं।
नहीं, मगर आप
चुनाव के पहले CAA लागू होगा। इस देश का कानून है, इसको कोई नहीं रोक सकता।
फैंटास्टिक। तो नोटिफिकेशन बस आने वाली है, फिर आपको लगता है नोटिफिकेशन तो बस आने वाली है? देखिए, हमें तो ब्रेकिंग न्यूज चाहिए ना। अब आपने इतनी बड़ी ब्रेकिंग न्यूज दी है, आदत से मजबूर हम भी हैं। बहुत बड़ी ब्रेकिंग न्यूज है और मुझे लगता है सब लोग इस पर जरूर बात करेंगे और इसका प्रभाव क्या होगा, इसका इंपैक्ट क्या होगा, अगर आप संक्षिप्त में इस पर कुछ कह सकें तो।
देखिए, CAA कानून कोई नई बात नहीं है
जी।
कांग्रेस पार्टी कई चीजों को भूल गई है। मत बैंक की लालच में, वोट बैंक की लालच में कई चीजें भूल गई है। जैसे UCC
जी
संविधान सभा का वादा था। इसी तरह से जब देश का दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण तरीके से धर्म के आधार पर विभाजन हुआ, तब पाकिस्तान और अब के बांग्लादेश से लाखों की संख्या में हिंदू, बौद्ध, सिख शरणार्थी आ रहे थे और मार काट हो रही थी। कांग्रेस के ही नेताओं ने, देश के नेताओं ने एक वादा किया था, आप धैर्य रखिए, आप कभी भी यहां आएंगे, आपको ये देश स्वीकार करेगा, आपको नागरिकता देगा। इस वादे पर सभी लोग वहां रहे
जी।
उनके पर अनेक प्रकार के अत्याचार हुए, धार्मिक प्रताड़ना हुई, धर्म परिवर्तन करने के लिए दबाव बनाया गया, उनकी महिलाओं को, हमारी माताओं बहनों को अपमानित किया गया। वो लोग बदलने के लिए भारत की शरण में आए और अगर आज भारत अपने वो वादे को जो 15 अगस्त 1947 में किया गया है उसको याद नहीं करता है तो वो ठीक नहीं होगा। करोड़ों लोग इस देश के अंदर नागरिकता के बगैर रह रहे हैं, जो वहां से प्रताड़ित। मुझे कोई बता सकता है, ममता बनर्जी बता सकती है कि वो कहां जाए, कहां जाएंगे वो लोग? वहां उनकी सुरक्षा नहीं है, उनकी महिलाओं को अपमानित किया जा रहा है, हमारी माताओं बहनों को अपमानित किया जा रहा है, धर्म परिवर्तन करने के लिए मजबूर किया जा रहा है। हम भी शरण न दे
जी,
हम भी उनका स्वागत न करें। भारत में स्वागत है, भारत उनको नागरिकता की भी देगा।
And viewers, as promised, I have with me Harish Salve. Mr. Salve, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm calling this the CAA explainer because I'm going to take the opportunity to to try and give our viewers a simple, understandable explainer on the subject from India's #1 constitutional law expert. And I'll have a grid on, which is, do you agree with Harish Salve? Viewers, feel free to disagree. He's a tolerant man. If 99% of you feel you disagree with him, I'll put that on, and vice versa. Mr. Salve, my first question to you is this. The politically correct group of people have started saying, loosely using the word discrimination. They are not looking at helping Hindus or Sikhs or Buddhists who are discriminated in Afghanistan, Pakistan, or Bangladesh. They are talking about how we, by giving them a home, are discriminating against everyone else in the world almost entirely. Why not Rohingyas? Why not Ahmadiyas? Why not this? Why not that? Why not the rest of the world? This, along with the argument that this is fundamentally anti-secularism. So if you can deal with these two issues first, discrimination and secularism.
So let me deal with it on at two levels, Arnab. One is discrimination in a larger political sense, and the other is discrimination in what I call the narrow constitutional sense. I would not use the word discrimination because every country has to balance priorities. We would like to help our neighbors. We would like to help people in distress. We have ourselves come out of, we are struggling to come out of poverty, we are marching towards our day in the sun. We are heading towards becoming a developing country. We know the pains of growing. How much can we reach out to people from other distressed parts of the world? How many tears can we wipe? Is a matter of balancing priorities. That's an argument of policy. Somebody can say India should have open doors for all its neighbors. If there is strife in Sri Lanka, let them in. If there is strife in Burma, let them in. If the Rohingyas are being treated badly, let them in, and so on. Like some of the Western world, some of the more developed countries have, in fits and starts, have had open doors, as they say. That's a policy argument. In that sense, but discrimination is the word which rings false in this. There are international conventions for grant of asylum. We are not parties to those kind of this. But even the world has international conventions, rules are to be followed. So one is, that's the political argument. What is the political rationale for what we are doing? And you heard it in the Home Minister's statement. We have 3 neighboring countries. Afghanistan is actually, what is today geographically Afghanistan, was part of this whole area of right from Balkh and those areas. And there were 3 communities there. There were the Parsis, the Zoroastrians, there were Sikhs, there were Buddhists, apart from Muslims. And I want to say this today. My wife, who's from a Muslim family of Afghanistan, she says when they grew up, when she was a young girl, 50, 60 years ago, she says at that time it was family, community, religion. And that's how the country was understood. They had liberal, they were very liberal. They had social lives and society which looked pretty much like what Indian society looks today. Now, today, then came the Taliban, the Taliban and that kind of radicalization. So they have become an Islamic country. Now, there is a large diaspora of Buddhists, of the non-Islamics, who have faced problems because of this radicalization. The Home Minister gave the figures of the dramatic drop in the population of non-Islamic segments of society. Same with Pakistan. Pakistan was born in 1947. Otherwise, we were part of the same Indian subcontinent. And there was a large Hindu, Buddhist, Zoroastrian population there. Their figures have dropped. And the same with Bangladesh. So if we say these are people of our ethnicity, right now with our resources, and a large number of them are already in India, they have already made it to India. They are floundering as refugees in India without citizenship, and we say we give them citizenship. I frankly don't understand what the brouhaha is all about. As far as all you're doing is you're giving them citizenship, but you're not closing your doors to all others. And anybody else who wants citizenship comes in by the normal route of the Citizenship Act. This is under the Citizenship Amendment Act. The CAA picks out these few people and gives them citizenship. Are we exhausting a quota? We don't have quotas of citizenship. I mean, you can give citizenship to as many people as we want. So I don't understand where all this discrimination argument is coming from. And the thing that it's like saying if you do something for one class of society, you must do it for all. This is a
But
very
shouldn't you?
This is
But shouldn't
spurious law.
you, Mr. Salve, shouldn't you? There's been this constant use of Article 14 to back up that argument that Article 14 provides equal protection to all people.
So yes,
And it says to all persons. It does not specify Indian citizens.
Let me give you a very simple example. If you distribute free gas cylinders to those whose income is below 50,000 or below 20,000 a year, are you discriminating against those whose income is 30,000 a year or 40,000 a year? No, you're not. You're today saying, I wish I could give a free gas cylinder to every Indian household, but I can't. So how many can I distribute? I can distribute this much. It's a national priority. So I'm giving it to that class of people. There's no question of discrimination here. Article 14 allows classification. What is classification? Classification is the group you select must have a nexus with the object you seek to achieve. Is this a defined class of people? Yes. People who live in the Islamic republics in our neighborhood and who are facing religious discrimination. Why? They are facing religious discrimination by definition. Because when you say you're a theocratic country, other religions, you're not secular. So you do not give the right to practice your own religion to religions other than the state religion. Can that be a valid basis for creating a class? The answer is obviously yes. Now, if that is the basis for creating a class geographically, the three neighboring countries, is that a basis for creating a class? Yes.
But to that comes the argument of arbitrariness. To that comes, Mr. Salve, the argument of arbitrariness. The argument being that the Constitution is supreme, the Constitution cannot be played around with. You have a pro-Hindu government creating a policy and a classification for groups who are Hindu. So it is a sort of Hindu for Hindu and kind of approach tomorrow. Yeah. So there the argument of arbitrariness comes.
Is it suggested that let's fantasize, and I can only use I can't use a more polite word. Let's fantasize that Rahul Gandhi was prime minister and he brought a law like this. The law would not be arbitrary. But if Modi
I don't know if that's a fantasy or a nightmare, sir, but yes.
But arbitrariness has to be per se, not because of Hindu nationalist government. If the Congress, in again a fantasy, maybe in a burst of good sense, had brought this law, because right from the days of the Constitution, Pandit Nehru had recognized this. Everybody had recognized this. If before they got caught into this this particular definition of secularism, if they had brought the law, it would not have been arbitrary. But because it is brought by what they call a Hindu nationalist government, a phrase which I despise, if they brought by a Hindu nationalist government, it becomes arbitrary. Arbitrary is something which has no rationale. It is a catchphrase for something which is discriminatory. There are some judgments which have said manifest arbitrariness. Manifest means on the face of it, it is absurd. Now, why is it arbitrary? Because it is discriminatory. Now, make up your mind. Therefore, you're saying it is discriminatory. Discrimination is a recognized head of law in which if something is discriminatory, it violates Article 14. Now, what is discrimination? Discrimination doesn't mean one law for all. You cannot have the same law for the lion and the lamb, as we say. So, there are two principles of constitutional law. It is called underclassification and overclassification. Underclassification is where dissimilar people are treated similarly. The same law for the lion and the lamb. Overclassification is people from the same class are treated differently. So we have to identify the class.
But every single loophole, I would call it a clutching at straws argument. Every straw will be clutched onto for dear life in the fight against CAA. There was this video going around of a 2020 speech by a young lawyer. I think he's Justice Chandrachud's son, Abhinav Chandrachud, where the argument being made in the course of that speech was, sir, can you just check your screen? Why not Jews?
Why not Jews?
Why not Jews?
Yeah, if there were, theoretically, if there were a large number of Jews, who are of Indian ethnicity and who are living in Pakistan, then maybe yes, somebody could have said, look, there are Parsis, there are Buddhists, there are Christians, there are Hindus, and there are Jews.
Yeah.
And they're all from the same stock. Why have you left out the Jews? How many people, how many Jews there? And how many people are Jews of Indian origin? Not people who have migrated from what is Central Asia.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you, sir. I can hear you.
So one can say, why don't you have Ethiopians? Of course, they're not there.
Yeah.
But theoretically,
Why not Iranians? Yeah, why not Iranian women who are being discriminated by their own government and their own
I'll give
people
you-
by misogynistic rules?
if you go a little further up north, you know the controversy about the Chinese and how they treat the Uyghurs.
Uyghurs, yeah. Why not Uyghur Muslims in China?
What about the Chechens? What about the ethnic cleansing which went on in Eastern Europe? If I wish, we
Why
had
not?
the
Why
money
not?
and
That's what,
God
no, no,
had
I'm
given us the
asking.
resources.
I'm asking you why not? Why not? I mean, I'm asking you this. The basic
Answering you.
argument being put
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the
I'm
set out
answering.
here.
I wish,
Yeah.
I wish God had endowed us with the resources to wipe every tear from every eye. But if He can't wipe every tear from every eye, does it mean that we don't wipe any tears at all? And that's the principle. If today it would be a wonderful thing if we could give free medicine to everybody. You go to Scotland, you walk into, if you have an NHS prescription, you walk in, you're not charged for the medicine. In India, poor people get free medicine, rich people don't get medicine. Shouldn't everybody get free medicine? Of course you should. Do we have the resources? We don't. Is it discrimination? Certainly not.
Okay.
So,
can I?
have, as constitutional law, Arnab, let me close it by telling you, in constitutional law, we say you do not have to do something for everybody in order to do something for a few, as long as the few can be rationally classified.
Sir, I have a counter to you on this, and I'm just checking for an update of how many people are agreeing with you, how many people are disagreeing with you. Last I heard, 77% of people are agreeing with you. It's a live poll. I don't know where it stands now. People are polling on Republic World right now. So, sir, if I had been a lawyer, I would have first started my career under you. I have not got that opportunity anyway. I'm one of those frustrated people who would have wanted to be lawyers, but then, we never got the opportunity. But since I have this conversation, let me ask you, sir. The contrary argument to that would be, Mr. Salve, that human beings are not commodities. Human beings are not like oil, where you say that as a government's policy decision, the government decides to buy oil from Russia, and Jaishankar and Hardeep Puri defend it. Yes, it's a policy decision. But human beings are not oil. You have a right to decide where to buy oil from, but you do not have the right to decide who is persecuted and who is not based upon your political preference. So you are trying to say that it's a government's policy. I'm saying, but human beings cannot be subject to the same test as commodities.
I'm sorry, I'm not using government's policy. It's the nation's policy. So this is not, let's not trivialize it by saying it's the government's of the day's policy. It is the nation's policy to try and help as many as we can. We have helped so many countries in distress where human beings needed aid. Are we sending aid today to Gaza? And can somebody say you are sending aid to Gaza, why not to Syria? And if you're sending aid to Gaza and Syria, why not to Iraq? You do as much as you can. And for people with whom you identify. Don't we do things for Bhutan? Don't we do things for Sri Lanka? When Sri Lanka got into difficulty, financial crisis, we bailed them out. What about other countries who are in financial crisis? Have we tried to bail Brazil out when they went under? Can you say, and it's all, when all this happens, there's an index of human misery. So is it said that you must either not help anybody else who's miserable or help everybody who's miserable? Why? Because human beings are not a commodity. This logic doesn't work for me.
You think this, by the way, the number is corrected. It's 93% who are agreeing with you now. So numbers going up as we
Something
speak.
wrong. I'm not used to people agreeing with me, but
I don't know, sir. You've been more than lucky in court on that. Not lucky. You've been gifted in court. But having said that, sir, that's they bring this argument of Ahmadiyya Muslims, compassion extending to all. I'm not saying go with a microscope, but blasphemy rules have been applied against them in Pakistan. There are unfortunately people in India also. In fact, the Muslim Personal Law Board does not allow Ahmadiyya representation in the Muslim Personal Law Board. But then why does the government not have enough empathy towards them?
Let me answer you straight away. Again, first as a constitutional lawyer and then on a principle. As a constitutional lawyer, you have to see what are the class we have created. The classification is based on certain countries being theocratic, where there is a majority religion, the state religion. And then you have the non-state religions. And non-state religions are not allowed freedom of practice. Now, how the state, within the state religion, there may be divisions. How the state manages its state religion, if you were to poke your nose in that, you would be playing America. And I can't use a stronger and a more derogatory expression. Because I don't think any country has a right to poke its nose in the affairs of another country. Who are we to tell Pakistan that you don't know how to treat your own national religion? So, first of all, I have an objection on principle. And secondly, as a matter of classification, if the classification as a constitutional law proposition is between the state religion and giving succor to those who are not in the state religion, it's a valid classification. How would we like, Arnab, tomorrow, if Pakistan said, we know you're a Hindu majority country, but there are 3 communities amongst Hindus who are not properly treated. We want to give them citizenship. How would we like that?
Two practical questions. How will we handle a situation where a Hindu from Nepal, which is a Hindu majority state, says, in a Hindu majority state, I am facing discrimination?
Exactly.
Would the test
of discrimination? He has to. Can we solve the problem of blacks in America? Nepal is a Hindu state. He is a Hindu. That means it is just malgovernance. We are not interfering. America has done this. That, you people don't know how to run your country. You are a bad democracy. We will therefore come. We will interfere. We will try and fix you. And if nothing has happened, we'll topple your governments and
what if half a million people from Pakistan and Bangladesh convert to Hinduism and demand citizenship in India, saying that increases the potential risk of them being discriminated?
Correct. Now,
how will we tackle that?
December. Again, do we have a valid cutoff? Yes. Would they be entitled to, and India says, sorry, we are not going to give this to you. Would they be entitled? No, because they are a different class. These are people who by birth are Sikhs.
But we've given a cutoff of December 2014. We've given a cutoff of December 2014. Is that to say, Mr. Salve, that in December 2015 or December 2018, no discrimination has happened? In fact, there are many instances of discrimination having happened after that.
Again, as a country, are we entitled to say, we are addressing a problem? People have come here. As of today, everybody who has come in, we are willing to work with. We cannot do more. We cannot do more. Who knows? 2014, if we have the resources and if the numbers show up, may tomorrow become 2018. Nothing is, these are not cast in stone. Let's not miss the real principle of this.
In fact, I don't know. I mean, last question from you on this, I don't know whether it will be true or an overstatement. What do you think that if we were to take the argument of these people who call themselves left liberals on this, would we end up having an open door policy, which is so much of Europe is suffering from?
Yeah.
Open the doors to everyone. It affects your economy, it affects your job situation, everything.
I can't share any details with you because I was professionally consulted by the British government on certain issues relating to their laws of asylum and slavery. And the entire immigration service in one voice said, our system has collapsed. This is where they find themselves. Look at what they are doing with Rwanda and sending people off to Rwanda. If you want asylum, you go to Rwanda. I have seen, Arnab, I am on the monitoring committee for Rwanda. I have seen the plight of those who come by the boat. I was there. We were taken to see one of the boats landing. It wrenches your heart. Oh, what do you do? Does it mean you have open borders?
No.
And allow the people smugglers to flourish by smuggling people like this? So these are very complex social issues. I wish countries had the wherewithal to reach out and help brothers everywhere. Today, look at Africa. Look at certain parts of Africa. Look at the DRC. Look at Nigeria. Look at their pathetic condition. Should we help them? They are also poor people. We are also poor people. If you look, we are all victims of the British Raj. But what should we do? Should we reach out and help them? I wish we could. We can't.
It's a very, very reasonable argument. You know, what I find fascinating about the argument of Harish Salve this evening is that it's been very rooted in practical logic, staunch nationalism. It's not hyper-technical. He's a fiery nationalist and he set up a fantastic debate. Great response. What's the latest number right now on the screen? I just want to tell him that before you go, 94% of people are agreeing with Harish Salve tonight. The entire interview is going to be put up on our digital streams. Mr. Salve, as always, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for setting this up for me tonight. And taking this forward is...
it bothered me, when I heard.
Yes.
And one thing I want to leave you with, Arnab. I don't know whether I heard it right, but somebody said X state and Y state are saying we will not implement the law. Are they suggesting that if somebody is given an Indian passport, it will not be valid in that state?
It's crazy. It's crazy, sir. I can't tell you. That'll be another debate with you another time on the extent of federalism and the arguments of against and for federalism and the misinterpretation of it before the elections. We'll do that before the elections start. Mr. Salve, look forward to seeing you again, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. And Nalin Kohli takes it forward from there along with Asif Sohail and Abdul Razak Khan. Nalin, you heard the arguments of Harish Salve. He trashes the discrimination point. How would you start the debate? Where is it poised right now? How are we differently placed this time from, say, 3 years back on the CAA debate? What has changed in your view, if anything?
I think the circumstances have changed in terms of, Mr. Goswami, we had COVID in between, we had economic issues, we had a fear in the country. So the situation was not normal. We are back to normal in every sense. India is resurgent under what has been the policies of Prime Minister Modi's government. Globally, we are enjoying a very good reputation and time as never before. Economically, we have moved at a pace that's very impressive. As of today, as we speak, in fact, the average expectancy of Indians over the last 1 year is increased from approximately 62, 63 years to 67 years. And the GNI has gone up to almost $7,000 per person. So I think there are many things that are positive, and something that was pending implementation had to be implemented, and now is as good a time as any other time.
So Asif Sohail, you heard Mr. Salve there. To be very honest, this time you're on legally very weak ground, and Muslims are not supporting you. You understand, I think what has happened, Abdul Razak Khan, is last time you misled some Muslims. This time you're not being able to do that, Asif. You see the lack of response, Nalin, from the Muslim community this time? Nobody thinks they're going to lose their citizenship this time. Nobody's afraid anymore.
Because it's a lie. They won't lose their citizens. Muslims are as much as citizens as anybody else. We are equal.
Sir, what happens to people of Assam, sir? Yep. Sir, what happens to people? See, in 2019, when the NRC was done, 19 lakh people could not qualify, of which 13 lakh Hindus and 6 lakh Muslims. Now, if Hindus get citizenship, what happens to those 6 lakh Muslims who came 50 years ago to this country.
But that's NRC.
How will
We are
they
not
survive in
debating
this country?
NRC.
Will they be refugees forever?
Abdul Bhai, we are not debating NRC.
Sir, when the Citizenship Amendment
But why
Act,
are you debating NRC?
I understand. Nalinji,
Today, when the
respect you a lot.
topic is CAA,
Please
you're
hear me
talking
out.
NRC.
Nalinji,
Who's
please,
talking? But
please
Bhai
hear
Sahab, who's
me
talking
out.
about NRC?
Nalinji,
हाँ, बताइए.
सर मैं आपकी बहुत रेस्पेक्ट करता हूं. प्लीज हियर मी आउट. प्लीज हियर मी आउट. I am not talking about NRC.
बताइए अब्दुल भाई,
I am talking about the people who came to India. I am talking about those people who came to India 50 years ago, in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 80s. I am very much worried about those people. When the NRC was done in Assam, takriban 19 lakh people could not qualify, of which 16 lakh were Hindus and 6 lakh were Muslims. Now these 16 lakh people will qualify for citizenship for this country. And how about those Muslims of Assam who did not qualify in the NRC? Because of this bill, these Muslims will be left out. You speak to me about them. Let us not confuse the nation saying that we are worried about Iranian women who want to wear hijab, the Ahmadiyyas, the Rohingyas. No, sir. I am talking about those people who are already in this country, who are already residing here, who have served the army, who have served the police force, who are here.
Can I answer that now?
One minute. First of all,
can I answer that?
One point I want to make, please. To say that an illegal infiltrator can serve in the Indian army is completely wrong.
Exactly.
Second point I want to add, and Nalin can take it forward.
Yes, sir, I can give you proof. I can give you proof. I can give you names. Those who have served the army could not make the NRC.
So that will be a subject of investigation, and action must be taken against them.
Grandchildren.
Former
president's grandchildren.
Arey bhai, one typo can happen in every list.
Grandchildren were not qualified.
One typo can happen in every list. It's not the point. Nalin will respond to you. I just want to say an infiltrator is an infiltrator. And you are referring to people who have been illegal infiltrators, so and you are making a case for them.
So throw them out.
Of course, illegal infiltrators have to be thrown out.
So throw them out.
They have to be
throw everyone out. You are giving citizenship to Hindus.
No.
Sir, what do you mean? Those who came to India before 31st December 2014, they will be awarded citizenship, not Muslims, but all other religions.
If you are because they were subject of persecution.
Or these are infiltrators. Why are you
they
giving
were subject of persecution. Okay, Nalin will respond. I'm not taking it with you. Nalin can take it forward.
Who said
so I think
Nalin, you take it forward.
Yes, I think I've understood the point. Abdul bhai, अब मेरे को बोलने दीजिए. सुन लिया मैंने आपकी बात. अरे अब्दुल भाई, अब मैं अपनी बात कह दूं. Let's go one by one.
जरूर sir.
I think the first point to be brought here is this is for persecuted minorities in the countries that were part of India. And let's not forget that even Afghanistan was part of India under Maharaja Ranjit Singh. That's why up to 1992 there were 2 lakh Sikh community members in Afghanistan, which is down to 500. In Pakistan, there were 23% minorities: Christians, Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis, Jews. The first mayor of Karachi was a Parsi. That 23% has come down to 3%. In Bangladesh, it was about 23%. It was 10% 10 years ago. Where have they disappeared, these minorities? So basically, for Abdul Bhai or anyone else to say that a Muslim in a Muslim majority country becomes a minority who's persecuted is an incorrect argument. And number two, एक मिनट अब्दुल भाई एक सेंटेंस फिर आप बोलिए. नहीं उसके बाद बोलेगा, वरुण जरूर बोलेगा. मैं तो एक सेंटेंस और बोल रहा हूँ. An illegal immigrant in this country is not coming seeking regularization of citizenship is different to one who wants to come under the CAA.
Sir, no sir, this is not done. This is not done. Sir, tell me one thing. People of India voted for Modi ji for their welfare, not for the welfare of people of Pakistan. Why are you worried about the minorities of Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan? You should work for the welfare of this country.
नहीं आपने किया या नहीं किया मोदी जी के लिए? अच्छा लगेगा सुन के.
मैं बिल्कुल वोट नहीं किया था सर. सर मैं नोटा दबा दूंगा, बीजेपी को वोट नहीं करूंगा सर. बर्बाद के रखे देश को आप. आप हाईवेज तक बेच दिए,
देखा ना, मुझे
सब
पता
कुछ
था
नीलाम
ना,
कर दिया
तो आप वो चिंता छोड़
वो
दीजिए
तो
ना,
वो तो
जिन्होंने हमारे लिए वोट किया हम उनकी चिंता कर रहे हैं, हम उनकी भी चिंता कर रहे हैं
तो
जिन्होंने
इसका
हमारे लिए
मतलब-
वोट नहीं किया।
तो
ये तो
इसका
मोदी जी
मतलब मोदी जी
2014
सिर्फ
से
हिंदू
बोल
के
रहे
बारे में ख्याल
हैं कि
करें।
भैया जिसने हमारे
मुस्लिम
लिए
को
वोट
छोड़
किया
के आप
उनके
कानून
लिए
भी
भी प्रधान
बनाएंगे।
सेवक हूं, जिन्होंने
सर,
वोट नहीं किया उनके लिए भी प्रधान सेवक हूं। तो
This is
इसीलिए
a
ना
very,
अब लड़ाई अलग होगी
it's a
ना,
very-
आपके लिए राजनीतिक
it's a very-
है,
sir, it's a very
क्योंकि आपने
strange
वोट नहीं
situation.
दिया।
It's a very strange situation. In the early years of my journalistic career, you know, these politicians used to try and not openly say that we are for Bangladeshis or we are for Pakistanis. Now there are some Indian political parties who are openly saying we want Bangladeshi infiltrators, please come. We will use the CA argument to defend your
This
infiltration.
is what the BJP wants.
You take care of them now. Will you
Sir,
keep them in
look
your
at the
house?
timing, Arnab ji, the reason
Will you
why
keep them in
CAA
your
is
house?
brought-
Will you provide them employment?
Sir, why CAA is brought is because
Will you
they
provide
want to
them
make this an
employment?
election issue.
No, and I
saying that
Don't play this card.
Sir,
Don't play
we are
this
not
card.
worried about those who are coming now.
I must
I'll
point
get
out
Asif
something.
Sohail to
Sir,
debate with you now. Asif.
Arnab,
Sir,
I
this
must
is
point
what
out
the
something.
BJP wants. Those
No, one
standing
minute,
with
and
the
I
bill
must
are
point this
nationalists.
out. You must pay
Those
attention.
against the bill.
No, 1 minute. I must point out this. Arnab comes from Assam. He knows the pain that Assam has suffered for illegal immigration that changed the landscape there of the proud people of
Yes.
Assam. And I can tell you that I consider myself also an extension
Because
of Assam.
16
So don't bring
No, and
the
I
infiltration
tell you
story
more.
into
I tell you
this.
more.
This is not correct, sir.
I tell you more. See, what happens is Harish Salve recently spoke from UK. I can tell you Britain has been saved because it was because of Brexit. If tomorrow Britain had opened its doors to anybody and everybody from all over the world, the situation of Britain would have been worse than the situation in Germany today. And Sonia Gandhi, who is anti-CA, should first ask that in her original country, where she was born, where Sonia Gandhi Antonia the Maino is from, Italy, the government has declared it that it's the Italian government's priority to send back undocumented migrants. Rahul Gandhi should go back, should go to his the country of his mother's origin and find out the way Italy is treating undocumented migrants. सही बात बोल रहा हूँ. It's not. We don't have an open door policy.
Arnab ji, you come from
Asif,
Barbeta.
Asif,
Arnab ji, you come
Asif,
from
Asif.
Barbeta in Assam, which is 50% Muslim population today. You are worried
how
about
did it
the
know?
Muslim infiltration.
It's 70%.
NRC
How
proves
did it
something
become
different.
70%?
Sir,
How did Barbeta become 70%?
you said
You
in the
tell
last
me.
debate.
How did it become
Sir,
70%?
after the
Organically or
NRC, you know
inorganically?
that there are
Because of infiltration or not?
14 lakh.
Anyway,
Sir,
because of
because
Bangladeshi
14
infiltration, which
lakh
has to
Hindus,
stop.
14 lakh
Asif,
non-Muslims.
Asif
Only
Sohail,
5
Asif
lakh
Sohail.
Muslims, sir.
Asif
14
Sohail.
lakh Hindus.
सर अर्नब सुनिए, आप देखिए, हम पाकिस्तान बांग्लादेशी सब की बात कर रहे हैं. क्यों हम हमारे कश्मीरी पंडित जो 5 लाख कश्मीरी पंडित बाहर रह रहे हैं उन्हें लाने की बात क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? उनको क्यों नहीं सोच रहे? मोदी जी नहीं सोच रहे, हमारे जो लर्नर्ड गेस्ट बैठे हैं उन्होंने नहीं सोच रहे हैं, कोई नहीं सोच रहा है. देखिए, बाहर ब्रिटिश में भी काफ़ी सारे हिंदुस्तान इलीगली रह रहे हैं सारी दुनिया भर में, उनको वापस लाइए ना. उनको लाने के लिए भी बताइए. आप देखिए, ये क्लियरली एक आर्टिकल 40 जो है इक्वालिटी बिफोर द लॉ, उसका वायलेशन किया जा रहा है, फ्रीडम ऑफ रिलीजन का वायलेशन किया जा रहा है. आप एक माइंडसेट बना दिए मुद्दों को इलेक्शन.
कैसे फ्रीडम ऑफ रिलीजन का वायलेट किया जा रहा है? आसिफ सोहेल जी, आसिफ सोहेल जी, Asif Sohail ji, 14 and 15 allow a person to practice or profess any religion. आप मुसलमान हैं, मुझे बताइए, आप मुझे मत बताइए, नलिन कोहली को बताइए. सीए अगर इम्प्लीमेंट हो गया, आपको क्या अपने मुस्लिम प्रैक्टिसेस, मुस्लिम बिलीफ फॉलो करने से कोई रोक रहा है क्या? आप नलिन कोहली को बताइए. आप झूठ क्यों बोल रहे हैं मुसलमानों को?
सर आप बोलिए ना, 6 लाख मुसलमान
बोलिए ना. आसिफ सोहेल जी,
मेरी अरे सर,
आसिफ सोहेल जी बोलिए आप नलिन कोहली को.
आप मुझे इंटरप्शन के बगैर दीजिए. सुनिए सर, मुझे कोई,
मैं दे रहा हूं सर, आप बोल नहीं पा रहे.
मैं अपने आप को फखर एक हिंदुस्तानी मुसलमान हूं. बोल रहा हूं ना, सुनिए, मैं कोई रोक नहीं सकेगा, ना मैं रुकूंगा, ना भाजपा रोक पाएगी, ना कोई रोक पाएगा हमें हमारा रिलीजन प्रैक्टिस करने से।
अरे रोक ही नहीं रहा है आपको।
और रही बात, देखिए आप
ये सब बनी बनाई बातें हैं, कोई आपको रोक नहीं रहा है।
बोल रहा हूं ना सर।
अरे ये क्या बात कर रहे हैं, आपको रोक कौन रहा है? खबरदार जो आप ऐसी बात करें एक चैनल के ऊपर में और उसको सांप्रदायिक बनाए।
तकलीफ में
मतलब ये कैसे सांप्रदायिक बात आपने कह दी?
मेरी बात तो नहीं सुनना चाह रहे हैं।
कौन रोक रहा है आपको आपके धर्म को प्रैक्टिस करने से? पूरी अनुमति है। किसने रोका है आपको बताइए? खबरदार जो आप सांप्रदायिक बात इस चैनल पे करें। और भाजपा में ऐसे कोई बात, भाजपा रोके ना रोके, हम अपना धर्म को करेंगे। किसने आपके धर्म को रोका बताइए? ये खबरदार जो आप ऐसे ऐसी बात करेंगे कि हमारे धर्म को किसी ने रोका है, बिल्कुल नहीं। आप हमारी तरह ही हैं, आप सब जो है भारतीय नागरिक है। और मैं बिल्कुल नहीं बोलने दूंगा आपको ऐसे डिबेट में कि आप सांप्रदायिक बात करेंगे डिबेट में कि हमारे धर्म को कोई रोकेगा, भाजपा रोकेगी, नहीं रोकेगी, कैसे? कमाल है, कोई नहीं रोकता आपके धर्म को और कोई रोकेगा भी नहीं। आपके धर्म के लिए और हमारे धर्म के लिए, हर धर्म के लिए अनुमति है, संवैधानिक अनुमति है। उस संवैधानिक अनुमति से आप थोड़ी ना हटके अपनी राजनीति, ऐसी गंदी राजनीति कर सकते कहकर कि मेरे धर्म को कोई रोकेगा। कौन रोक रहा है आपके धर्म को?
संविधान, उससे आपको मानना
अरे छोड़िए, संविधान को बिना समझे संविधान की बात मत करिए आप। और मैं आपको चुनौती देता हूँ, कब आप बैठना चाहेंगे जहां बताइए, उस चुनौती को स्वीकार करिए। संविधान पे शब्द प्रयोग करने से पहले ज्ञान लीजिए। संविधान बहुत बड़ी चीज होती है, एक शब्द नहीं होता खेलने के लिए, वो भी ऐसी घिनौनी चीज के लिए कि हम सांप्रदायिक राजनीति कर रहे हैं। खबरदार जो आप चैनल के ऊपर में बैठ के देश के सामने ऐसी बात करें। और आपकी ये दो टकी जो राजनीति है, इसी की वजह से मुसलमान भाई बहनों का नुकसान हुआ है। इसीलिए आप लोग भय की मानसिकता करते हैं, झूठ फैलाते हैं और बात करते हैं जैसे इस देश में मुसलमानों को पीटा जा रहा है, किया जा रहा है। मुसलमान, हिंदू जो भी हो, और वो भी रमजान के महीने में आप ऐसी बात कर रहे हैं, कमाल करते हैं। इस वक्त जो है इस देश में किसी के साथ कोई गलत काम नहीं हो रहा है। गलत काम होता है तो एक्शन होता है, और आप बैठ के यहाँ पर ऐसे ज्ञान दे रहे हैं। आप ऐसी बात जाकर पाकिस्तान में सुनाइए, ऐसी बात जाकर उन देशों में सुनाइए जहाँ मुसलमानों के खिलाफ मुसलमान जो है दिक्कत कर रहा है।
अरे मैं तो नहीं गया ना, आप जिसके फॉलोअर है वो गए ना पाकिस्तान बिरयानी खाने, मैं तो नहीं गया ना। आप जिसे मानते हैं ना वो गए पाकिस्तान, आप भी जाइए।
फिर आगे फिर बिरयानी खाने, पाकिस्तान बिरयानी। खबरदार, आपने कहा कि बिरयानी खाते हैं मोदी जी, समझे? मोदी जी थोड़ी ना बिरयानी खाते हैं। खबरदार, फिर आपने गंदी राजनीति की अपनी। आप जो है, मैं आपके मुंह पर कह रहा हूँ, आपको इस महीने में जब आपको पूजा पाठ में लगना चाहिए, अल्लाह मियां साहब को आप लोग याद करते हैं, इस महीने रमजान के महीने में इस प्रकार की बात करते हैं आप, किसी और के धर्म को नीचे करते हैं आप। ऐसी बात करें राजनीति,
And he knows very well that this time there are very few takers for the anti-CAA logic. When I come back on the other side, we have some breaking news that the petrol and diesel prices have been brought down by 2 rupees. And I'll tell you why this whole electoral bonds issue has turned out to be a damp squib in 2 minutes.
15,000 placements in 2022-23. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
The Bitcoin on Wednesday zipped past the mark of $73,000, setting a new record high with more than 230% gains since last year. As the halving nears, the leading cryptocurrency is breaking all past records, with the speculations of it crossing the $100,000 mark in the current bull rally. So, why is Bitcoin halving? And why is it driving BTC prices out of the roof? Experts explain how Bitcoin's native code halves the block reward in every 4 years and hence impacts the price.
There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be created in the world. The process of creating a Bitcoin comes in from a very novel computer program that is also used to secure the Bitcoin network. And this process is called as mining. The reason why it's called as mining is because just how the total amount of gold in the world is limited, and the only way you can extract gold is by mining gold from the earth, Bitcoin in the world is also limited. And the only way in which you can generate Bitcoin is by solving a hard computer problem and creating new Bitcoin. Till date, close to 18.5 million of the 21 million Bitcoin that are ever going to be there have already been created. All of these Bitcoins have been created via the process of mining only. In the process of mining, close to 100,000 users contribute on it on a day-to-day basis, and terabytes of electricity are used to solve for the computer problem that is used to then generate the new bitcoins available. The process of mining generates a few bitcoins every 10 minutes. That is whenever a new block of bitcoin is mined. And this amount of bitcoin that generates.
I am very, very happy to announce that Niva Bupa Health Insurance has come on board as Republic TV's studio partner. Niva Bupa Health Insurance is the fastest growing company among standalone health insurance players in India. It has also provided health insurance coverage to 1.1 crore people in India and settled over 15 lakh claims, processing one claim every 60 seconds. So we are delighted to be partnering with them.